Yo, what is up guys, my name's Hakiii and here are the best high-end cars to own in GTA Online. It's gonna be all about luxury and the most luxurious vehicle models we have in the game. Safe to say we're not gonna see any vehicles based off Toyotas or something like that. So beginning with the in-game version of the Mercedes G-Wagon, which is actually a very big letdown, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The Dubsta is one of the most OG vehicles in GTA 5, and although there isn't much to it, people like it just because it's based off the G-Wagon, which is a really nice model of a Mercedes. Now, the reason it's such a big letdown for a lot of people is because of the lack of customization. There's so much potential with a vehicle like this for so many amazing customization options, but this vehicle sadly came out like a decade ago and Rockstar never really added any additional customization options, but they really should. They did it to a couple of vehicles a few DLCs ago, and I don't see why they shouldn't do it to more. It really shouldn't be too difficult for Rockstar to think of options to give this car, because you could definitely do a lot with the trunk of this thing and give it some roof options and some hood options, slap on some nice liveries, and you got yourself some great customization on this thing. The one you're seeing in the gameplay is actually a rare version that you can spawn in. It's pretty freaking difficult to spawn it in. It comes in either in a chrome like this one or a gold version, and it's basically a pre-customized street car that already looks really luxurious, so I just kept it how it is. I didn't customize anything else. Hopefully Rockstar Games blesses the Dubsta with some much needed customization options. Besides that, it's a cool luxurious car. And then taking a sharp 180-degree turn to a very customizable vehicle, which is the Comet S2. It's really obvious what this one is. It's a Porsche, and I don't know many people that dislike Porsches, so chances are you probably like the look of this one. I really like the look of it, but performance wise it could definitely be much better. It's a relatively small car, but it actually feels very heavy when you drive it around. I don't know why Rockstar made such a small car feel super heavy. It feels like a fat rock driving around. If someone knows that for some reason they just hid like 20 tons of rocks in the trunk of this car and we just can't see it, let me know, because that would make sense at that point. As we said, it's really customizable. It has a lot of unique options like headlight covers and fog lights, really cool selection of liveries and some hood options. Definitely worth checking out if you like customizing cars in GTA. This one's the Comet S2, but there's also a convertible version, the Comet S2 Cabrio, which is also a pretty luxurious one. I mean, it looks exactly the same, just without a hardtop, so a convertible luxurious car like that, I definitely like it. Next is a super old model vehicle, the Roosevelt Velour in GTA Online. This is a vehicle like no other in the game. It's actually a vehicle model from the late 1920s. This vehicle model is almost a century old. That's actually crazy, and it's got some nice customization options, some very unique ones, unlike the Comet S2 obviously, because they're very different vehicles, but both of them are great to customize. Since this is such a unique vehicle, obviously it's going to have a ton of unique customization options, especially in the chassis section with different arch covers, ornaments, badges, front details, and much more. I wish vehicles would have nearly the amount of unique options that this one has. We can also change the look of the spare wheels both on the back of this thing and on the sides, which is sick. This is hands down one of the rarest vehicles you can own in this game, so definitely recommend it, and especially if you like luxurious classic cars in this game, this is literally perfect. Moving on to an ultra-modern Rolls-Royce, the Jubilee. It's a Monitech upgradable, which makes it extremely useful, so not only is it a very safe vehicle to drive in, but it's also very good looking and easily one of the most high-end cars you can drive around. If you want to make it look as realistic as possible to the real-life version, definitely go for like a black, white, or a silver, but since this is GTA, I decided to go for a clean neon color, which doesn't look as realistic, but it's still nice. It also has a minigun on the front of the vehicle that you can constantly fire. It's got unlimited ammo, of course. In my opinion, it's one of the, if not the nicest car you can own in this game. Then we have another old model vehicle, which is a classic British car, the Stafford, or if you will, the Stafford. Rate my terrible accent down below, but this is a very luxurious car. As you can see, the chrome touches on it, along with a nice paint job like this rose gold I have on it. I think it looks beautiful. I'm not one to usually go crazy on classic cars, but the Roosevelt Velour and the Stafford so far, they are two amazing cars. I like them that much more just because of the good customization options with all the special unique ones you can put on. In particular with the Stafford, I love the selection of liveries for it. It's got a couple of flames ones, it's got a couple of like cool pattern ones, a rustic one if you want to give it a rusty look, and then it also has a giant UK livery one, which I think is one of the coolest liveries in the entire game. It actually looks super sick. It's called For Queen and Country, so I guess it's like a royal UK livery, if you will. And then the final one is a very colorful one with a piece on the roof. I'm not going to spoil all the customization, but this is another one that's definitely worth checking out if you haven't. Another unique thing about it is the interior. A lot of cars in GTA have really bland and plain interiors, but the Stafford's interior is an exception to that, and Rockstar actually put some effort into this one. It's got an all like wooden interior to match like the classic vibe of the actual car. It's a really cool and unique look, and it definitely matches up with the whole late 1960s vibe it's got going for it. After going over a few Rolls Royces, now we move on to the in-game version of a Bentley, the Paragon R. Let me know in the comments, which do you prefer, a Rolls Royce looking car or a Bentley looking car? Both are of course really high-end and very good looking regardless. The Paragon R isn't a Monty Tech upgradable or anything, but it does actually have a machine gun on the front of it, a similar machine gun to the one the Jubilee has. Looks wise, I think the Paragon R is super underrated. It's such a nice looking car, and not many people give it enough credit for looking so good. Something that gets me really excited about this one, like with the Stafford, is the livery selection. It has a couple of really sick liveries. One of them is the special shark livery, which is called Spitting Fire. It also has a couple of designer liveries that you'll see, some pretty cool racing ones, including one that has the UK flag on the roof of the car. And overall, looks wise, this might be one of my favorite in the entire game. I'll go as far as to say that. Another classic luxury vehicle that's extremely unique looking is the Z-Type. This one's based off a super old Bugatti from the 1930s. Remember, just because it's an old model car doesn't mean it's not luxurious. There's a lot of really big collectors that like collecting all these sorts of cars. Like with the Stafford, the Z-Type is one of the select few cars that has a really cool wooden interior to it. The steering wheel and everything is something that you don't see on a lot of cars. The Z-Type just reminds me of a snail on wheels. It just seems to be in a shape of a snail. It's got some okay customization, not nearly as good as some other ones on this list, but it's not bad. As long as you have a nice paint job on this thing, which is gonna cover the entire car, it's gonna look good because the whole car just has a really clean touch to it. And it's actually decently fast. For looking like such an old car, it's gonna surprise you and actually be pretty decent in handling. Not a sports car or anything, but still solid. I especially like the high-end chrome accents along the whole car. Going back to the Rolls-Royce family, we have the Windsor Drop. There's also the Windsor, but I personally prefer the convertible version, which is the Drop version. The Windsor and Windsor Drop came out many years ago, so naturally it's not going to have that much customization. Hopefully they add more customization to it, but this is considered the more OG Rolls-Royce version we have in the game, especially compared to the Jubilee that only came out like 2 years ago. It still looks great, and it's got a nice interior with some wooden touches to it. Everything is cool about this car, from the exterior to the interior to the performance is not too bad, but there's no unique options to customize in Los Santos Customs, which is a big bummer. Exactly the same situation like with the Dubsta. It's an OG vehicle and it looks great, it just lacks a lot of options that can make this car look way better and just a lot more fun. When you can make a car look many different ways and give it different styles, that's when it's fun to mess with it. It gives it a huge boost, at least in my mind, if that makes sense. And what other vehicles do you think I should have mentioned in this video that didn't make it on the list? Let me know down below in those comments. And if you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you are new to the channel so you don't miss any more awesome videos like these. Turn on the notification bell too while you're at it. Now click the video on screen now for my $300 million garage tour in GTA Online. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.